Hello and welcome to another episode of Wheel of Horror, the podcast where two best friends spin a wheel once a week. It chooses the horror movie and they discuss it. Today we're talking about 1974's Black Christmas, which was directed by Bob Clarke. I'm your co-host Alec.
Oh, I'm Erik. Just kidding, it's Justin, and today we have another special guest with us.
Corinne.
Hi, I'm Corinne.
Yeah, sorry, Justin, I thought you were going to introduce her.
Oh, sorry. What also happens to be another college friend, so...
Yeah, Corinne and I went to Suffolk. So you went in 2012. Was that your freshman year?
2011-12 school year, yeah.
That's right. Okay,
Yeah.
cool. Yeah, so that's when we met. And I know it's crazy. I feel like I haven't seen you since then, probably, since I graduated, right?
I know, and that would be like almost 10 years ago, which is
I
like
know.
insane.
It really is. But now we're both on the West Coast, which is cool. So we've gone from Boston to LA, or to San Francisco for you. But I'm glad that we're able to reconnect now, 10 years later. It's the end of the year, it's post-Christmas, but we're doing a Christmas horror movie. And you reached out and said that you love this movie. This is your favorite horror movie. And I just want to know what got you into horror, why this movie. Are you a huge horror fan, or is it just kind of this thing? But yeah, let's hear your history.
I am a huge horror fan. I started as a teenager, just kind of, I had started like getting into like Stephen King books and like that kind of thing. But then I just started kind of dabbling into classic horror. And I was like a little afraid of it at first. I was afraid that all horror movies were going to be like Saw, and that was what was like out at the time. So I immediately was like, I don't want to see that thing. I want to see like badly done horror so I can remind myself it's not real. So I started like watching classic like Alfred Hitchcock movies, and Sleepaway Camp was my first introduction to the kind of campy, shitty horror film.
Right.
So I went off some suggestion when I was like, oh, I love Sleepaway Camp. Does anyone know anything like Sleepaway Camp? And somebody brought up, oh my God, I wish I remember. But it was just like in passing somewhere, Black Christmas came up. And then a couple of years ago, my husband and I, we have like a tradition to watch horror movies, as you do. And we were going through, Bravo did this like 100 movie moments of like 100 scariest movie moments. And they like had all these like different celebrities that came and like talked about the movie moments. And one of the movie moments is from Black Christmas, I'll point it out. But I completely disagree. And it's like, I wish they had used a different one. But so it stuck out in that. And then I was like, okay, finally, got to watch this movie. And then I watched it and I was like, how did I never see this before? It's so crazy. It like predates Halloween. It's basically like the introduction to slasher films, and it's fantastic. Like,
how old were you when you saw this?
I was probably like 22, 23. Like, I don't think I was like that much younger, but like it was one that had like kind of evaded me for like the first 10 years watching horror movies.
Yeah. I mean, it is kind of obscure, and I feel like it did get lost. It's not, I feel like Halloween just kind of like completely overshadowed this. And it's unfortunate because a lot of Halloween took a lot from this, so it's sad that it got overshadowed.
Right. I know. Another like holiday slasher film.
Yeah. You're right. Exactly. I feel like Christmas is even more popular than Halloween too. So you'd think that one would have taken off. But I do want to get Justin's opinion because I feel like I already know it a little bit. So really quick though, I just want to say Justin hosts another podcast with me called Fresh Film Fridays, where we do the newest streaming movies, and it doesn't really matter what genre. So he's kind of been filling in on this horror one for the past few months, but he's been getting an education, especially in like 70s horror movies. We've been watching a lot of 70s and 80s horror movies. So Justin, what do you think of this one? And what do you think? How does it compare to like Suspiria or Changeling or any of the other kind of older ones we've been watching?
Well, Changeling was kind of like, I was kind of indifferent. I didn't like it before the episode, but then Alex gave me some insight and I ended up liking it more. Suspiria, huge fan, really liked it. This one, I had some issues with it, and I feel like if I point out some of the issues, both of you may agree.
Or we could completely dissuade you and make you love this movie.
I find that really hard.
I'm going to dissuade you because I feel that there are no issues in this movie.
Oh, okay. Wow.
Okay.
All right. So let's talk about what you love about it, Corinne. Let's start there.
I really like that it's kind of just an enigma of the time because I feel like it breaks a lot of boundaries of
Yes.
what is appropriate in cinema. They come right out the gate using the C word. They
Yeah.
like it's so beyond creepy and like there's a lot of like sex positivity with the sorority that like I feel like didn't come in other movies of the time period and even since then. There's the whole abortion side plot that's like wow, they're talking about this in
Yeah.
the 1970s.
Right.
Um and so there's like all of that going on, but then there's the whole I'll call him Billy for lack of a better name, but the
Yeah.
Billy character who calls the sorority is so creepy. So creepy. I'll get into he's so creepy, but like there's clearly a backstory that you never get into and it's
Mhm.
like it leaves you wondering and like filling in holes and like making him creepier than he even is. And he's already so creepy. That's why I love this movie.
Well, there's no sequels to this, so it doesn't ever fill in what happens, and the other major thing I noticed between this and Halloween is we see Michael Myers all the time. We see this face and this like, we have something that reminds us of that. This is all
Yeah.
your imagination. You're filling in
Well,
everything.
that's something I love about this movie, and that's why I completely disown Black Xmas, the 2006 remake, is because they made the mistake of like filling in this character, and it's like, don't do that. No, it's so much better without.
Mm,
They
yeah.
added a lot of like really obscure plot lines. They gave him jaundice.
Oh, okay. He's like a horrible alcoholic?
But no, he like was just jaundiced as a
Oh,
baby and
oh.
like has yellow skin now.
Oh.
Um, it's genuinely horrible, like disowned sister of this film. And
Mm.
while I love this one, that one I never recommend to anyone.
Well, there's 2. There's the 2006 remake and the 2019 remake.
Right. Yeah. That one was a little forgettable.
Damn. Yeah, no, I think you're right, though. A lot of those points about just not even the content that they were talking about, but the way they spoke to each other, I thought was very ahead of its time. It felt much more realistic than a lot of those older movies, the way that they communicate. But Justin, why didn't you like it? I'm curious.
Well, before you forget, you may not have seen there's a 2021 remake.
No, 2019.
It says 2021 on IMDb.
Really? Oh,
It
shit.
says coming soon, so it may have gotten pushed back.
What?
Not sure why they're doing it again, but
I mean, they know they have a good thing here, but they just like cannot
do
recreate that.
do they though? Okay, so Alec, you
Well,
said
we'll get into it. We'll get into it.
issues I have with it. You said
Yeah, I just want to know, like, I don't know, how do you
okay.
hate this? Yeah, just, yeah.
I don't hate it. I just feel like there were some major flaws. First of all, biggest flaw for me was this guy's in the attic the whole time, correct? Making calls from inside the house.
Right.
Okay, so maybe one of the dumbest minor flaws, but we have a house in 1970s with 2 landlines, one of which has a different number. I'm not sure how they did that, but this person was like inaudibly screaming in the attic and laughing hysterically. And you're telling me you're 2 floors down and you didn't hear out of the corner of your ear like, wait, that kind of sounds like it's not on the phone. Like, come on.
Well, all right, when he kills people, when he's not on the phone, he kills
Mhm.
people, and there's usually a party going on or
Right, right,
something
right.
rambunctious. But the phone
But
thing, there's not a lot of people in the house, you know?
I do understand what you're saying in the first phone call. Like all the girls are like dead silent,
Yeah.
but there is a Christmas song playing.
yeah, but even at the end, like the last call where she was the only one left, like Alec, if I was in your attic screaming hysterically, this girl like had no clue.
Billy, Billy. I'm like,
Like
yeah.
Yeah.
snorting and like, come
Well,
on.
when he killed the older woman with a hook, and then he had his mini like freak out, he's like, "Ah!" and just like running into the walls. I'd be like, all right, somebody probably heard that one.
Uh,
All right, that's fair.
Yeah.
Second issue, the police. Like, I don't know if this was just like bad 1970s police work, but at the end, when they all left her house, there were like 30 people in her room. And then within 10 seconds, they were like, all right, let's get the fuck out of here. And he's still in the attic. Like,
I
did they not search the house? They didn't do a
I
sweep?
think it's well established that these are bumbling policemen. Like they do nothing right.
They're just Mounties up in Canada.
Are
Like,
they Canadian?
yeah, you didn't know this was in Canada?
Dude, honestly,
Dude.
I was
What?
struggling through it.
I
I was
mean, the
really
phone
struggling.
number was given in letters.
Oh,
Was it?
yeah, I think that was, I mean, the fellatio joke. But no, when that guy was just like, he's like, how do you know this girl? I was like, I'm taking her out. And they just, the way he said
Oh,
out, I was like,
Yeah.
oh,
okay. All
God.
right.
And that Nash guy is like the most Canadian guy I've ever seen in my life. He's like, just go outside, Barbara. Go,
Yeah.
put the phone down and go.
So that between the screaming in the attic and then the fact that like the police clearly didn't search the rooms, and then this girl, instead of bringing her to like a safe location or to a hospital, perhaps they're like, let's put her back in the room where her entire sorority was
Yeah,
murdered,
yeah, yeah.
and then we'll leave one asshole cop here.
I also want to throw out police work on Christmas is usually understaffed. Think like John Benet Ramsey. Like a lot of stuff can go wrong at crime scenes. They didn't know what they were doing, perhaps.
Especially when you don't search the house.
Yeah. Well, John Benet Ramsey, they didn't search the house.
Yeah, you would think that when you do find at least one person dead and two people missing, well, they don't know the older like headmistress woman's missing yet because she did say I'm going to see my family or whatever, so they think that she's just gone.
Yeah.
Right. And they never find Claire, even though she's right
Right.
up there.
Well, I mean, they would. It's not like they're hidden. They're just up in the attic.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
I
No
know.
one looked in the window.
Yeah.
right. Yeah. All you need is one person walking their dog and be like, "What's that like doll face in the window?"
I mean, it was pretty high. It's like the top one, but maybe. No, you're right. You're right.
No, they'd be like, it's Robert the doll, whatever.
Yeah, it could just be a doll or something creepy. But so, what do you guys think Billy or is? What do you think that is?
I think he's bipolar or had some kind of like childhood trauma to where he has a different persona where he like squeals like a pig and shit.
Right, where he's like, it sounds like he's a man, sounds like he's a woman, like split personality, sort of.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe.
Oh, I definitely think that. I want to like separate it from what I know that they filled in. So, like, I definitely think there's like some sort of split personality, some kind of like innate, just like sexual hunger. Like, he's not able to control himself. And he also seems to have some sort of like psychopathy to his killings. Like, they don't seem to be premeditated. Like, it just seems to be his like sudden urge to kill. And he takes whatever item is nearby to kill.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like Michael Myers who has like a kitchen knife or Jason Voorhees with a machete. You're right. It's just like kind of whatever he stumbles upon.
Yeah. But to spoil the 2006 one, they gave him jaundice. They explained that as a child, his mom was a drunk and like had a bunch of boyfriends and whatever. And then he was like neglected. And then trigger warning, I guess. She raped him when he was 12, and then he had a sister daughter named Agnes. And she was
God.
like, "This is my family now." And then Billy was like, "No, fuck you, mom." And then he kidnapped Agnes, and his mom's like, "Where's Agnes?" And Billy's like, "It's my family now." And he like goes
What?
crazy and like, and then Agnes is there with him. Oh my God, this sequel. It's not good. And like Bob Clarke was also attached to it, so I don't know what happened. I don't know like what producer like spit on it, but it went nuts. So
Well, the 2006 one got a 4.6 and the 2019 one got a 3.4, which I want to point out is lower than Thanksgiving, Alec. So
Wow.
I have to get that out there.
No way.
A zero budget turkey puppet movie did better.
It's worse than Thanksgiving. Well, so, to your point, Corinne, the original Evil Dead, we've talked about this before, Justin, I think, but the original Evil Dead is literally just group of people goes to the woods, demons start possessing them, and that's it, whatever. Then the remake is like, hey, we're all going to the woods because my sister's a heroin addict. We need to get her away from everything, and that's why we're doing this. And, we're going to chalk up all of her ghost demon stuff to her having withdrawal and stuff like that. It explains too much. So it almost like hurts what makes it scary. And I think this is another example of that. Where Black Christmas, the first one, it's really cool where your imagination fills in what he looks like, what his background story is, what his motive, why he's doing this. And then from what you're telling us, the remake, it's just like, nah, we'll just tell you everything.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's exactly that. And that's why that's ruined. But that's also, I love the understatedness of these like early horror movies where you don't see a lot of the violence, and
Oh
it's
yeah.
just like a lot of it is implied, and it leaves you more anxious than if you had seen it and you're like, oh, okay, now I know.
There's like no blood in this movie almost. It cuts away like after
Yeah.
every kill pretty much. So you
Yeah,
never really see any like
definitely.
actual it's like Texas Chainsaw Massacre and Halloween. Not
Yeah,
gory movies.
and the 2006 has like eyeball plucking and eating
Oh
scenes.
yeah.
So
No, see, yeah. See, so Justin, like can you see like why maybe this is a little bit better than you think it is just a little bit?
I mean, it wasn't bad. If it just tweaked a few flaws, it would be fine.
Right. And that's probably what they're trying to do with the remake, but in doing so, they're creating more flaws.
Dude, I watched it on Peacock and
Oh
like
yeah.
it was like fuzzy.
Really?
Yeah, like it wasn't like my internet or anything. Like it looked typical like 1970s shot, but except like the birds looked fine, but
Hmm.
this one like it
huh.
looked old.
There's actually a pretty good upload of it on YouTube.
Oh,
Really? Oh, I watched it on
Yeah.
Peacock too. I didn't have any issues, Justin. Maybe it's your shitty internet. Who knows?
oh. Dude, it's just, and then now that I was thinking about it while you guys were talking, the attic didn't have like a hatch or
I
door,
know. Yeah.
and so I feel like you'd smell the body a bit.
It's only been like 2 days.
Dude, you'd smell a
Yeah.
dead body after 2
I
Yeah.
also
days.
want to throw out there, I don't know what was the norm, but as this was a sorority house and like wasn't just like an ordinary house, maybe they would have like multiple phone lines because
Mm.
multiple phone lines because girls can talk a lot. Like,
Well, I was thinking that too because it's a school, so maybe they have like an administrative phone for like the teacher, and then they have the one that girls use. Maybe.
In the attic?
yeah.
Well, it wasn't in the attic. The phone was it? Oh yeah, it was because
That's
he
where
was
he was
calling.
making calls
Yeah.
from,
What the
yeah.
fuck? Well, maybe he brought the phone and did. I
It
don't.
was, I don't know, it was
You
just
can't
very,
bring a
like
phone.
I don't
it
know.
reminded me of, like, Scooby-Doo where, like, the villain was right there. They're like, "Oh, this is my boyfriend Peter," and then, like, he'd be like, "Alright, guys, I'm gonna go," and then, like, someone would die, and then Peter would show up and be like, "Oh, Peter, you're here again." Like,
Yeah,
what
dude.
happened with that?
I That was also something totally bumbled in the 2006 thing. Like they didn't make Peter plausible as like they didn't make the creepy boyfriend creepy enough. Like it seemed
Really?
like Peter kind of seemed like he was like ready to snap and
Oh
like
yeah.
do some like white boy rage thing. Like I don't know.
The ending was probably the scariest part to me is when his face was in that window and he just kicks the window open. You're like, what the fuck is this guy doing? Like, that's not like, don't worry, I'll just fix it later. It's like, you just broke their window, dude.
Yeah.
So that was a little weird.
He also smashes that piano. Like he's a little bit believable as someone who might be kind of unhinged.
Yeah, he broke the piano.
It seemed to me like he failed and he knew he failed. So he's just like, well, I'm gonna ruin this for everybody.
He had stayed up for 3 days before he even knew his girlfriend was pregnant, practicing the stupid piano.
Yeah, it's a weird subplot, I guess. Yeah,
Yeah.
I guess the actors a little bit too. I love Margot Kidder, and I didn't know she was in this.
Oh, yeah. So I love this movie and I like eat up information about this movie. I read that Margot Kidder met Steve Martin and he was like, "You're my favorite movie ever." And she was like, "Oh, like Superman?" And he was like,
Yeah.
"No, Black Christmas." Apparently, Steve Martin was a huge Black Christmas fan. And reportedly, Elvis Presley was a huge Black Christmas fan and demanded to watch it every year. But he died 2 years after it came out. So I don't know if that's true or not.
That's so random.
Yeah, she is Lois Lane, I just
Yeah.
realized that.
Yeah, she's
That's
in
cool.
Amityville Horror also. I
Yeah.
love
Yeah.
her in that. She played such a good drunk in this. I like really believed her.
Oh my god, she's so funny. I love
Yeah.
her.
Well, that's the thing. I'm looking at her. I'm like, it seems funny on the surface, but I'm like, she's like an actual alcoholic. Like you can see it in her. I
Oh,
mean, she's
yeah.
drinking in the morning. She's giving kids drinks. She's drinking at the police station.
Yes, she is.
It's
Oh,
the
yeah.
70s.
Well,
I
still,
do have to point out that she has a phone call that's like easy to miss at the start of the film with her mother, who is unheard on the other end of the line, where she's basically talking to her mom and she's like, "Hey, so I'm going to take the train home. Oh, you don't want me to come home? Oh, who's this guy you're like with? Oh, okay. I'll just hang out with my friends. We'll go skiing or something." So I
right.
think she's just like processing that mom shit that was going on.
Mm.
But she's also insanely problematic. I love that she stands up for her sisters and like takes on that phone call and like spits shit back at him.
Oh yeah.
But then she throws out the line that you can't rape a townie. So
Oof, yeah.
that didn't age
Yeah,
well.
Yeah, speaking of the phone calls were kind of weird in the beginning. Like at first, like the girls were kind of like listening to it because it was interesting, and then it started to get weird, and then it kind of sounded like he was like it sounded like he was jerking off on
Oh,
the phone,
yeah.
and they were listening for like a minute, and I was like, just hang up the phone.
I totally understand that curiosity of just wanting
Yeah.
to know what the fuck this is. And like apparently they've been getting these calls and this is the first one he's been speaking on. So maybe they just like want more information about who the fuck this guy is.
Oh my god.
Who's been like breathing on the phone because they call him the moaner. So apparently he's been like calling them and like jerking off for weeks. But this call, as a woman, I just have to say this call makes the hair on the back of my neck stand up. It is so unhinged. The like pig snorts and then the like just like breathing and like describing what he wants to do to you and then like just like ending it with just like the very calm, just collected like I'm going to kill you.
Right.
Like what the fuck was that?
That's the scariest part is the ending because you're right. He seems insane and then all of a sudden he gets it together and then he says I'm going to kill you and it's like whoa, that's scary.
Yeah. If you see a slight disconnect, I did read that the phone call was separate and the girls didn't know what they were reacting to. And I
Oh.
think that if they had known, that could have added a little more to the scene.
Did you know that, Justin? I didn't notice that.
No, I did not notice that.
Yeah. I guess now I'll pay attention to it. But yeah, actually I didn't realize that. Yeah, I was very surprised to hear some of those words in 1970. I was like, or 74. I was like, whoa, I didn't know you could say this back then.
Yeah.
I was like, holy crap. I mean, I've seen Last House on the Left. I think they say it in that. Oh, they say it in The Exorcist too.
that movie's, yeah, pretty a lot.
Oh yeah. But this movie, I feel like this movie kind of bridges the gap between movies like Last House on the Left and kind of like those sexploitation films of the late 60s and early 70s because this one is like a slasher film. It really does follow that genre before we even know what that genre is. You know, the final girl motif that becomes so prevalent throughout the 80s that, you know, it really
Yeah.
did kind of start with this, it seems like.
Yeah, definitely. And I think it also had like elements of just tropes, the sorority house, the holiday like Thanksgiving and Halloween and Friday the 13th,
Valentine's Day.
Easter Bunny Kill.
Wait, is that a movie? Is that a movie?
It's the worst movie in the whole world. Don't watch it. I mean, watch it,
Justin?
but like don't watch
We
it.
got an Easter movie.
They have to watch it. I guess my biggest question is why now? Like, did the piano concert thing that he had just make him like snap? I mean, no one knew he was crazy, and then he just like killed all these people.
No, he didn't do it, dude. What are you talking about?
What are you talking about?
No,
Peter-
he's not Billy.
Peter didn't do
Billy
it.
goes up to the attic at the end of the movie after she
Oh,
like tells her
shit, you're
boyfriend
right.
thinking that
Yeah.
he's Billy.
Dude, that's why in the basement when Peter was like going after her,
Yeah.
and then I saw him dead, I was like, you didn't know though.
She didn't know, but the way that he was acting, dude, if my girlfriend broke a window and was like coming at me and was like, I'd probably be like, yo, what
Yeah.
are you doing? And I'd like cut her head off probably.
She was definitely feeling very vulnerable, standing up to him, making this decision to get rid of the pregnancy. And I understand her fear in that moment. I just think that she felt very vulnerable. She was already told by the police somebody's in the house trying to get you. Like, I would be like, okay, someone's trying to fucking get me. I'm gonna get them first.
Yeah.
Yeah, again, Alec, going back, I have to bring this up, and I know I bring it up every horror movie.
Mm-hmm.
Me being a guy, and even a bigger guy, if the police told me they were like, there's a guy upstairs, I'd be like, I'm getting the fuck out of here, dude.
Justin, I have an explanation for that in this movie, and it's
What's the explanation?
No.
What
It's
explanation?
super subtle. It's super subtle. So there's a part where I can't remember her name, but Olivia Hussey, the actress, the main character, she's going to the door to get it for that older woman, and it's stuck. And the old
Yeah.
woman says, "Oh, we got to get Mr. Jones or whatever to fix this damn door. It's always sticking." They say, and it's such a throwaway line. And then at the end, when she says, like, just get out of the house, and she runs towards the door, the fucking door's stuck.
Yeah.
But don't they have multiple doors?
Maybe actually, but the front door's stuck.
I mean, like, I would have tried way the fuck harder to get out of that house.
Yeah. The basement's probably the last place you're gonna be like, I think that's a
She's
safe
like, I'm gonna
spot.
trap myself in this basement.
But why didn't Billy go down for her? Because, he knows she's down there. He could have got through that door. Come on, that was a tiny little lock.
I don't know.
I don't know if he necessarily knows that she's down there. I think he's a creep and a peeper, but I don't know if he's like all knowing where people are. He's just like hiding in their closets and then kind of realizes he might get caught. And so he's like, all right, I'm gonna go for it.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, what are the odds though? What are the odds Peter came at the exact moment that she went down into the basement? Like, what if he showed up 5 minutes later or
Yeah,
w-
but it's a movie, so you gotta kind of give it a little bit of like, oh,
okay,
it's convenient timing that this happened.
well,
right now.
anyway, going back to
Yeah.
my point, even myself, I would be like, I'm gonna leave the house instead of going upstairs.
Mhm.
But then she went upstairs. I'm like, why are you going upstairs?
No, she didn't go upstairs, dude. She went to the front door. She was trying to leave, and then
Well, then she grabbed the fire poker.
yeah, because she couldn't get out the front door because it was stuck. And then Billy came
Bro,
down.
you got windows, you got
I
back
know, no, I know.
doors.
Believe me, you're right. I also would have like thrown my body through a glass window to get out of that house at that point. But I love it too. The cop's like, listen, don't ask any questions. Walk out the front door. She's like, what is this? Just shut up and walk
Oh
out.
yeah, he snapped. He's like,
What do
Barbara. He's like, you gotta get out. You gotta get
I
out.
have to tell you one more time to get out. Another reason I think Halloween overshadows this is this does not have a great score. Does not have a memorable score.
I like that it's kind of juxtaposed with the Christmas music.
Oh yeah.
So to get into the Bravo's top moments,
Oh yeah.
their top moment was Margot Kidder's character being killed with the glass thing as
Mhm.
the like seemingly British children sing Hark the Herald Angels Sing.
Yep. I love that.
And that's what they called the scariest moment. But for me, the scariest moment is Billy's eyeball around the door. That
For
freaked me
sure.
the fuck out.
Oh my god. It's like red. It has like red in it.
Yeah, but I also do love that like that moment with the soundtrack being these like children singing. I like that. I think that's cool.
I like it too, but I think when you see Halloween and you just hear like the doo 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 doo, like people are just kind of like, ooh, like I'm spooky, like and I think and a lot of slasher movies took that where they're like, okay, we have to be able to see the guy with the mask, we have to have a cool soundtrack, and we have to have a holiday, and that pretty much seemed like that was the magic combo going into the 80s. But this was a cool way to
Yeah, for
pioneer
sure.
that. But yeah, I don't know. You got to give respect where respect is due, and this was a very cool movie for the time. Stop remaking it, Jesus! Stop remaking this goddamn movie. But yeah, you guys got any last minute thoughts on Black Christmas?
Just the waiting.
I just want to shout out to the sorority mom who has her
Mhm.
booze bottles stored literally everywhere in the entire house.
The top of the toilet.
Yeah, the comedy in this movie is understated. I
It's
think
amazing.
I love it as a comedic and horror film.
Yeah, actually, why doesn't she just have the alcohol out? Why does she have to hide it? She's like 50.
I have no idea. Maybe it's like some university rule or something, but
Just,
like
put it into your bed or something. I don't know. It seems like
Yeah.
she's going through so much effort to like hide something she doesn't have to hide. Unless she's like a really bad alcoholic and everybody knows it and they're just like, oh, Miss Jones, you can't drink anymore. But I loved her. She was probably my favorite character. She was so funny, yelling about the cat and everything. I love that.
yeah. I love the posters
Oh my
in the
God.
room as the like father's like walking through the room.
Oh.
And she's like trying to hide the posters. That moment's great.
That picture's hilarious, where it's like a peace sign of two people like having sex. I loved that. That was hilarious.
There's that, and there's the grandma flipping off the camera.
Yeah, that felt like it was out of like a 90s movie. I was like, this seems way ahead of its time. Just like even the comedy.
Yeah, for sure.
How about you, Justin? You got any last minute thoughts?
Just the rating. This got a 7.2 on IMDb. What do you guys think out of 10?
Honestly, I think that's fair. Like you said, I think it's not like a 10 out of 10 best film ever made, but I'd say it's good. It's worth watching. I'd put it up there for horror movies. It's definitely above Thanksgiving.
Yeah, for horror kill. Yeah, I was gonna say I can't think of another Christmas movie aside from Santa Sleigh that we've been doing. That's probably gonna be better than this.
I like Santa Sleigh.
I know you did. Honestly, I think a 7 is fair for this. It's so original when you realize what year it came out, and I love the acting. I love the way that people talk, and it's cool. It's creepy. It's not the best thing in the world, but yeah, I liked it. I'm gonna go with 7.
Okay, I gotta go with the 5. I'm sorry.
Hey, you're honest.
I apologize. It wasn't.
I apologize.
You don't have to apologize. I didn't make it. I just enjoy it.
It's just like I think back to it. I'm like, if somebody called me and they were like giggling and screeching and snorting, I'd be like, dude, what's your deal? But I
Yeah.
suppose if I was, a young girl in a sorority at night and someone called like masturbating, I'd be like, this is really uncomfortable.
For sure.
I also have to say that like, this is a time where prank calls were a thing, and they
Oh, yeah.
may have thought it was like the fraternity fucking prank call.
Oh,
100%. Yeah.
Those silly Kappa boys over there.
Yeah.
And really quick, before we wrap up here, the director, Bob Clarke, his resume is so interesting. So he made this, and then he made Porky's. Do you guys remember Porky's?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
you can't even like talk about that movie nowadays without getting canceled. But then there's he did A Christmas Story right after that. So
That's
like,
very
Which is-
interesting.
yeah,
the complete opposite movie of this.
of
Like,
this and Porky's. Could you imagine like the guy, like the most raunchy, misogynistic comedy, and then all of a sudden he's like, hey, a little kids movie, like right after that? I don't know. I think it's very interesting.
Yeah, I mean, I think that may have added to the charm of Christmas Story because they have the moments like "Oh fudge" or whatever that do have that hint of the Bob Clarke that we see in Porky's and Black Christmas.
And it's funny, he's also an American director that for some reason was like, fuck Hollywood, I'm going to make movies in Canada and only Canada. And he basically became like this big American director in Canada.
Pretty
Yeah,
cool. I think that's cool.
Whatever. He
No,
made
yeah.
cool movies.
No,
so
I think it's
sure.
interesting. I just think it's just like it never goes that way. So I just think it's kind of interesting that
Right.
and he
He
did.
probably was like, I want to make them how I want to make them.
Right.
And Hollywood won't let me do that.
No, you're
so.
probably right. You really are. You know what's really sad though? He actually
Well-
died in a car crash.
Oh, shit.
A
I didn't know that.
drunk driver killed him and his son in LA, and he went to the guy went to jail for like 6 years. Yeah.
Oh my
Oh, way
God.
to bring this episode.
Sorry,
down.
yeah.
Well, rest in peace to Bob Clarke.
Mm.
He was a producer on the 2006 film, like I said. So I don't know if he was just there in name only,
That's
but like
interesting.
his charm was missing from that for sure.
Yeah. Well, he's off making Super Baby Geniuses too. Apparently, he really was. He was directing that at the same time. Anyways, all right. Well, Corinne, thank you so much for coming on. We always love having new people and hearing about like their experience with why they love horror and their favorites and stuff like that. So it's very good to have you on.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, anytime. Thank you so much.
Awesome. All right. Well, we haven't released our new wheel yet, so we'll have that probably released on Twitter and Instagram and all that stuff, and we'll do the first spin. And we will announce it, I guess, because we don't really know what it's going to be yet. So we'll announce what the new one's going to be in the next couple days. But thank you, everybody, so much for listening in. And if you haven't already, go listen to our Matrix podcast. We just released a few of those. So thank you, and we'll talk to you guys soon.